Have you ever noticed that a lot of times our interactions with people are very, very surface level, and sometimes you don't get to the things that matter, maybe not ever, or sometimes like just not until the very, very end. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about how to check in, how to drop in, how to connect or reconnect. That's right. So this might be people that you've known a long time, or maybe these are people you've just met, but how could you quickly get a deep, deep connection where you feel like you really know what's going on with this person and you feel like they really know what's going on with you, and you feel closer and more in community and like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I'm spending time with this person or with this group of people. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be checking in with you, my wonderful, wonderful audience, because it's been a while since it's been just you and me. If you're a regular listener, watcher of the show, then you've probably been like, okay, the last episode was great with Tamar about birthdays and things like that, but geez, Justin, it was like February since we last, got to just connect with you, I think. And I'm going to explain that and tell you what's been going on. And you might have also noticed, not only was there a break between new releases of episodes, but now you might be kind of noticing that, wait, it's like every other week. And I'm going to go through that, tell you all that as part of this check-in process that someone recently told me about that they did at a event, or I think it's a business school related thing. Yet I've seen these done something similar at dinner parties and just retreats, and sometimes I try to do this with people I know or things like that. Yet I really loved sort of the model of this, the breakdown. So that's why I'm going to share it with you, because this is something again. If it's somebody you haven't seen in a long time, or maybe this is somebody new, or maybe it's at a dinner party. Because a lot of times, like, have you ever noticed that a lot of times our interactions with people are very, very surface level, and sometimes you don't get to the things that matter. Maybe not ever, or sometimes like just not until the very, very end. It's like I was recently got a chance to go visit an old friend for her birthday, which I'm going to talk a little bit even more when we get going. But we ended up getting to, catch up for like, I don't know, it was like 3, 4 hours, something like that. And it really wasn't until the very last like 10 minutes that we got into, one of the big things that was coming up for her, which was like keep hearing, just keep feeling like it's time for like a big, big change in my life, and that's overwhelming. It feels overwhelming. Um, and it's like, I felt so honored to get to hear that and to also share my perspective and things like that. And it was one of those, like, oh, I'm glad we got to it. Yeah, it's like, oh, it would have been great if we would have had like, 1 or 2 hours to talk about that, right? So, what is this method? There's basically three parts to it, three parts. And again, you can always kind of decide if you want to do all three parts, or if, you just want to do one or the other, one, two, three, pick any two, pick any one, depending on the time and the structure and, maybe what you feel like the audience is. But yet, I'm going to encourage you to, because one of these is like, it's like, ooh, do I want to go there? Do I want to go there? I'm going to encourage you to like, yeah, whenever there's a little like the tightness, that's where the juice is. You want to go for the juice, which means you got to do the squeeze. You got to do the squeeze. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Yeah, right? Like, then there's the release. And it's like, it feels so good, right? Yeah. Those of you listen to this while you're on the toilet know what I'm talking about. I know you people. I know some of you. I know what you're doing when you're watching this or listening to this. I get all the data. I get the facts. Now that's I don't even if that is available, I'm not looking for that. But so the three things are, it's done through the lens of rose, bud, and thorn. So the rose, a beautiful, amazing creation of nature, something to be celebrated. So that is sharing a celebration, something to celebrate. And again, I'm going to be going through each of these and sharing my own examples recently to help you, know what's been going on with me and where the fuck I've been. So the rose, celebration. The bud, this is something that's it's going to be a rose someday, but it's not quite yet. It's very tender. It hasn't fully opened to the world yet. So this is something you're nurturing. Something that's like, ooh, maybe, it's not, you don't know if it's going to work out, right? So this is the bud is something you're nurturing. And then the thorn, this is something that you're letting go of. Or I also like to would include in this maybe something that's currently a challenge in your life. So it might not be something that you've even figured out what to let go of or how to let go of, but it's a challenge. It's a thorny thing. So rose, bud, thorn, something to celebrate, something that to be nurtured, and something to be let go of, or something that's currently a challenge, something that has potential to be a pain point in your life. So I'm gonna share. So again, this is something that, if you're at a dinner party, you could either do like, each question per round, or you let somebody go through all three. You kind of just decide how you want to, or you've just met somebody and you kind of go, hey, I got some fun questions if you're up for it. Because trust me, people are so ready to like really get to share and to really get to hear and feel connected. So you will be giving such a gift if you're the person that goes like, "Hey, I got something, some ideas of something we could talk about. If you're up for it, you don't have to." I'll be surprised how many people aren't just like, "Oh my gosh, this was great," and you might have some of the best connections, best conversations you've had in your life. So for me, I'm going to start with a thorn because this really is the reason why it's been such a break and why I've kind of gone to doing every other week. Because I think I took 3 or 4 weeks from releasing a new episode, and the reason is I had a really big loss in my family. Someone had been really big part of my family. I'm not gonna say who it was. It's like if you know, or if you feel close enough and you want to reach out. But I kind of just like I don't want to get into the details of who and what and how. But it was somebody really close in my family died, passed away. Um, and I kind of mentioned that on the previous episode, the birthday episode, but because it's happened, basically I got the news 2 days before my birthday, and so it was just like, oh man, this and it was really really impactful for my dad, who I hadn't talked to. We'd kind of been messaging, but we hadn't really been talking. I don't think I'd seen him for over a year, maybe closer to two. So really not since my mother had passed away, which has now been I think 2.5 years, maybe more. There's just some things that like I'm not good at keeping the time of things. Like time kind of flies, and for some of these things. And so the loss was difficult, and then just this like, oh, uh, how do I interact with my dad and things like that was really thorny. And I wanted to be able to go down there and spend the time. So that was been a big pain point. And I think one of the things that I'm really letting go of is just this idea that I I can plan out my life and how things are going to work. Because I really thought I was going to go on a ski trip that the week right after my birthday. I'd cleared my entire calendar, um, but for some reason I hadn't booked a hotel yet. I was going to spend 4 nights, ski for 4 days. I cleared my calendar, but I hadn't put any arrangements down that couldn't be taken back. And I get this news, and I was just like, yeah, I'll be down. I'll be down, on Monday, and I'll stay the week to, help with arrangements and just be there in this challenging time. And uh, so I was really, really grateful that was able to do that and be there for my dad and do the service and connect with the other people that were affected by this loss. So that's been the big thorny thing in my life, is sort of been working through that. And yeah, so that's why I canceled some of the shows basically, because I just like I don't know what things are happening. And Yeah, it's because it's kind of like I like to, there's some people that do shows that do, influencing stuff that they just like blah 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 blah. That's not my style. I like to share with you. I like to share how you can get through things, not just vomit stuff at you. I like to, I'll share that, oh, I vomited and here's the medicine that helped me so that I now I'm no longer vomiting because I want you to have the medicine so that maybe you don't have to vomit at all or for as long or as painfully. That's one of the big goals of why I do this show is to, kind of like bring light to stuff. Um, and it's like I'm going to acknowledge the dark times, the challenging times. Yet, I'm the type that I like to, I have my team of support for that. I'm not here to get a bunch of people to, go, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, or I'm not looking for the peanut gallery to tell me what to do or whatever that. So yeah, I mean, so I'm grateful that y'all are still with me, especially if you're new, welcome. And if you've been here a long time, thank you for understanding, being patient. Uh, so yeah, so that's been the thorn, I would say, is, this loss. And, again, it's letting go of really for me of just, thinking that I know how things are going to work out because, it's, now lost my mom way before I thought I would. And there's, it's like I kind of thought like, well, this is how things are going to happen and things are going to be like this till, I don't know, a long time. And, just the universe, the world, whatever is like, nope, this is happening now and that's happening. And yeah, the more that I'm willing to go with it, the easier it is and the easier I'm able to get the gifts out of these experiences. And that brings me to the bud, the nurturing. So, I mean, one of the big things that I'm nurturing is the relationship with my dad because it's kind of, brought us together. We're sort of interacting, talking a little bit more frequently and spent time, got to know what his life's been up to. And he'd gone through some really big health challenges, and seeing him, it's like his physical form is shifted the way, like just really kind of like, huh, what could this relationship be now? After this big loss, this these challenging times. It's like what could this be? I'm unsure. I'm going carefully of going with love for myself and him. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is to make sure that I'm loving myself, caring for myself, and from that place, then showing up so that I can be loving, kind, generous. Because I'm seeing I see in the past that that's not how I showed up, and it was, caused myself a lot of pain, caused pain to those around me. And this is maybe a little bit of something else I'm nurturing is is based off of my experiences of going back and this sort of new relationship with my father, and with a lot of people, that I now really have a framework of how relationships can work, and I've got this model worked out. It's really kind of a culmination of my lifetime of experience, that I think I've been able to distill into a very simple, effective way that I can teach you so that you can kind of maybe know where you're at and where you want to be. And, it's like, things like my book definitely have stuff that allows you to progress, and I also can share it. I'll also be sharing it in a way that a lot of the stuff isn't linear. It's not like you get to this higher level and all of you is there forever. It really is very dynamic, but able to see that can allow you to really improve your relationships with, yourself and anybody you interact with, especially those that maybe you've known the longest, because those can sometimes be the most challenging. So do make sure that you are subscribed, following, because I'm gonna share that in an upcoming podcast, and there'll probably be like other ways that this really this groundbreaking model that I don't think I've ever seen it shared in this way. I've seen little bits and pieces, but I've really eh, like gotten it down into like, okay, this is how you or who you think you are or who you really are or who you are not is working. And that's a little hint of maybe some of what's gonna. So definitely keep looking. So that's something I'm nurturing and getting excited to share. Something else that I am nurturing, that's budding, is I will be providing a workshop about turning your triggers into treasures through laughter and jokes. And I'm really excited. But there's a little like I love the joke as much as possible, and I'm looking forward to it. And so this is like a very it's at a retreat, and so I'm so happy I got selected to be able to present this workshop for the first time ever, because it's really going to help people. And this might be something that at some point I'm able to teach to a broader audience. Uh, Yet, these are all things where if you're listening to this and you're like, "Fuck, I want that now," definitely reach out, connect with me, and we can either go through some of the stuff one on one, or I could do a talk, a workshop, for your company or your group or whatever it is. So I've really noticed how, many people just get stuck in something that triggers them, that upsets them. And it's like, what's a trigger? It could be depends on the person, because it could be something like, really, really horrible, awful, traumatic violence, abuse, or it could just be traffic. And the thing is, the emotional physiological response can practically be identical. And so the ways to work with that can be very similar. And what I've noticed is that many people kind of get stuck, and maybe they're able to work with that, and not just bury it or be buried by it. Yet they're not really able to transmute that into a form that is able to change their life and the life of those around them into something of benefit. Because I really do believe that anything, quote unquote, bad, frustrating that happens to us can be seen as a gift, that shows us like, oh, there's a way, there's another way I would want it to be. And this workshop, I'm going to teach people how it can be that way. So that's something that I'm nurturing, is that, and coming up with jokes and things like that, and just like, oh, how could I do some ballsy some ballsy jokes that, if needed, right? Like, that joking about death, joking about cancer, something like, I'll do a cancer joke because, I think they're funny. Um, but yeah, a good friend of mine recently was, had suffering from cancer, and they were in the cancer wing, undergoing treatment, and the conditions were so bad. Do you want to know how bad the conditions were at this cancer wing? It was so bad, people were just dying to get out of there. Now I think that's funny. That's funny. And is it in poor taste? It is. But it can also be fun because, and the laughter is such a gift, because this is a little preview, is because it requires a different perspective than what most people have, than what you might be wanting to have. And then also the laughter is a movement of emotional energy. So this is all the good start. And then it's what do you do with that after? That's the big part. Because again, just making jokes of stuff, not necessarily going to shift it. There's the potential, right? But it's and how do you shift it? So I'm excited about this workshop. So those are things I've been nurturing. And now celebration. Let's move on to celebration. So I did have a birthday recently, celebrated 44th. And even with, the loss and some of the challenges in these, I really did have a great birthday, where I got to enjoy some good food. I got to enjoy being, at a place where I could, soak in, hot tub and cold plunge and steam room, and then also just get to lounge and watch some good TV with a really amazing person. So it was small, it was intimate, but it had all of the favorite things that I really wanted. And I was very celebrating, that experience, and also celebrating that in the midst of, challenges. Because in the past, I've had some really gnarly birthday experiences, even result in me going to the hospital, that gnarly. And this was very fun, very enjoyable. Uh, and so celebrating that. And then also celebrating that basically in the past month, I've returned to where I grew up, Orange County, and then also I've returned from where I lived a good chunk of my adult life after school. So remember, I went to school a lot. So after high school, I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It took me 5 years to finish my undergraduate degree in electrical engineering, and then to finish my doctorate at UC Davis took me another 6 years. But I lived in Folsom basically for like 11 years, working mostly at Intel, and I owned a home there. But both Orange County and Folsom, very, very suburban. As maybe you've picked up on that, I would say I'm suburban presenting, yet I'm actually quite uh, eccentric. We'll go with eccentric. I don't do things the way most people do. I have different thoughts, I have different ideas. I've had a lot of very different experiences than what most people would assume, a suburban, what is a white hetero cisgendered male would get up to. That it's this box should be like it's not even. I feel like it's not even a box. It's like a caricature. It's a point, and I don't fit into that. And I actually believe that very few people actually do fit into that. Many people are just pretending, and that there really is a vast spectrum of people that seem quote unquote orthodox in whatever way. That's why I'm not a big fan of people just going, "Oh, I'm so different," and you're not, and it's like, fuck you. Like, how do you don't know me. You don't know me just because maybe there's something salient that it's clear you are different or you're whatever. There's things that we would have in common, and then there's going to be things that I'm different. So I really do believe that we are human with a lot of similarities and unique. And there's a spectrum in between that we get to play with, and it's beautiful. And you get to choose how we want to play from what we look like, what we wear, what activities we do, who we do them with. And that's the beauty of the human experience. Whenever I'd go to Folsom for whatever reason, and it had been 2 years, and it almost been like two and a half or more since I'd been to Orange County, because again, it's like I had just had it's like I don't belong here. I don't like these places. I don't like how the people are. I don't like how they're structured. And da, 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 da. Yet I've been doing a lot of work on changing my opinions and beliefs and identity with regards to the suburbs and what they're like and who they are. And I really really ended up being able to enjoy my time in Orange County. Um, it did help that I spent a good amount of time in Laguna Beach, which is right on the beach. So eventually we're going to have some pictures and videos coming very soon. So be on the lookout for that. Again, make sure you follow me on social media at Justin Wenck, Ph.D. So you can check that out, and uh, and then when I went to Folsom, it was just really beautiful. I got to go for this friend's birthday celebration, and just to experience like the amount of nature that is available, especially this time of year of spring, and the sort of abundance that many people there. I know not everybody does, but there is a lot of people doing good things, and they're sharing it with others. And I got to experience some good generosity, some good hospitality from many old friends. And just kind of coming up that we're not all meant to live the same way in the same places, and to treasure that and appreciate that and enjoy that, um, because we all have different things that we're into at different times, because there's also seasons, like in through the year, but our lives have seasons. And it's like I've had my suburb seasons. It's a small coastal city season that is adjacent to a really big city, which is I love it. I'm really close to San Francisco, so I really appreciate that for a lot of things that I get into and enjoy, and especially travel. So, so those are the things that I'm celebrating. So much to celebrate, and um, I also celebrate. I don't even know if I got a chance to talk about this yet, but I think I did do an episode that I was in Guatemala. So celebrating my first international trip in over a year. That was also really cool. And this leads to something else that I'm nurturing. See, there's been so much stuff. I've missed you guys. I've missed you guys so much, but appreciate you allowing me the time to take care of myself and what I needed to do personally. But another big thing is like, so that trip and, I've done all these other trips and this really is feeling like there's going to be a lot more travel coming up this year. And the podcast has been on YouTube for well over a year now. It's doing phenomenal. It really is one of the best outlets. So I'm so happy for those of you that are watching on YouTube. If you're not, go check it out on YouTube and subscribe. There's a version where you can watch and there's a version you can listen. It's good. It's great. But it's like, hey, I got this YouTube channel. Like I could actually put some long form stuff of my travels. So working on a little project, I've had, branding that, getting that out, so that, if you want to like see like, what it was like for me in Guatemala, because maybe maybe you've never even heard about it. Like, what's that like? And maybe you'll go, maybe not, but hey, I want you to get to enjoy the fun, the excitement of travels, even if you're not really able to, or maybe you don't want to. So that's something that's being nurtured, and so hopefully in a month or so. Again, so great that you're here, and remember, it's Rose, Bud, and Thorn. So the rose is what you're celebrating, the bud is what you're nurturing, and the thorn is what you're either letting go of or what's currently a challenge or a pain point in your life. And so, this is something you can bring up if you're having like a dinner party, if it's somebody you haven't seen in a long time, or if it's somebody that you've just met. This is going to dramatically increase how connected you feel with those that you connect with. So you're going to get depth much faster. And I think that's something that most of us would love to have more of. And so this is something you could even do with somebody that you see every day. But do you go to this level of depth with, some of these people you see every day? So I'm going to challenge you. Let me know. Let me know in the comments who you might be doing the rosebud thorn check-in, drop-in, connection questions with. I'd love to hear who you're doing it with. Oh, that sounded dirty. Who you doing it with? Yeah, who you doing it with? Um, um, and if you've done it, yeah, tell me who you did it with and how did it go, you dirty dogs? Who'd you do it with? Who you gonna do it with? And then who did you do it with? Yeah, I want to know what you're doing and who you're doing it to. Um, so yeah, let me let me know in the comments. Uh, yeah. And again, if any of the stuff that I'm nurturing or that I've gotten up to, you're like super excited about, and because really, I do stuff that I enjoy. But if there's something that you're like, this would make my life so much better if you got on this, might help me to reprioritize or whatever. So don't be shy. Reach out and go, Justin, I really want that. Can you give me that now? How do I have that tool? How do I have that experience? Like it's a lot of life, my friend. My friend is just asking. Just ask. So with that, I ask you, please, like, subscribe, follow, rate, all that stuff. Thank you so much for your patience, for your understanding, and your continued support of the show. And always open to finding out ways to better support you with the work and stuff I do with that. Thank you and good day. Thanks for tuning in to Engineering Emotions and Energy with Justin Wenck, Ph.D. Today's episode resonated with you? Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports the show, but also helps others find us and start their journey of emotional and energetic mastery. You can also help by sharing this podcast with someone you think will love it just as much as you do. Together, we're engineering more amazing lives.